But remote viewing is where your soul stays housed in your body and you're able to like sense and see and know. And it's like looking through hazy goggles, which is like clairvoyance. I really have to separate and keep my soul here because my soul wants to astral travel there so quickly. And this blue light was coming deeper, deeper inside the cave. And as I got lower and lower into the cave, there was like this humming, like almost tangible feel of the atmosphere changing and almost audible too, where it was just like this, like where it affected your sense of hearing and then also your sense of like feeling. So I realized that I wasn't remote viewing at all. I was astral projecting, meaning that they could see my chemical makeup, my vibrational being of my soul that does astral travel. In heaven, that's how you communicate. It's telepathically. With aliens, that's how you communicate telepathically. It's always telepathic. My mouth never opens. It's always communication. Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Spiritual Connections by Joelle. I'm your host, Joelle Burns, psychic medium, intuitive healer, alien channeler, whatever you need and want, I can help you. So today's topic, I wanted to talk about remote viewing. So it's one of my gifts that I am still working on. It's not something that comes naturally to me that I have to work at, which is fine. Even keeping my mediumship up and things like that, I've got to still, it's like a tool. I've just got to keep using it because if I let it slide a bit, I notice I'm a little bit slow at first and then, which is totally fine. It's all still there. It's just like riding a bike, but you just have to get back on that bike and keep riding. Okay. Remote viewing is described as the practice of seeking impressions about a distant or unseen subject. So it's technically, I've explained that astral travel is when your soul actually leaves your body and travels, and you get a similar sense in what remote viewing is, but remote viewing is where your soul stays housed in your body and you're able to like sense and see and know. And it's like looking through hazy goggles, which is like clairvoyance. Sometimes images that come to me are very clear and sometimes they're a little bit hazy depending on the communication. When you're doing remote viewing, I was just asking my guides if it was spirit led, if spirit helps and connects you with that. And they're saying no, most of the time, no. But they do jump in if it's like help for a missing person or something really important that they need to step in and intervene. They will help in any way they can to assist in that. I have a short story that I go on and I do TikTok lives and help people with the psychic questions, medium questions, intuitive healing. And so I had this woman on that I don't think I've ever seen her on my lives before. And she said, do you do remote viewing? And my answer was probably lengthier than she wanted. She was probably looking for a yes or no. And I explained to her, I'm better at astral traveling, but I'm still working on my remote viewing. And she had said, I can't find my 7-week-old kitten and it's lost. And I said, okay. So I first wanted to get an idea of what the cat looked like and hone in on the cat, the cat's. So I asked her what it looked like and she said black and white. And then I said, can you please give me a name? And its name was So, S-O. And so I said, okay, so I'm going to focus in on this cat. So like I said, there has been a lot of times that I've been wrong with remote viewing, but I said, I'm coming out of the back of your house and the neighbor to the left, I don't know how far. I don't know where this lady lives. She could have lived on 30 acres and not had a neighbor that close. But I said, there's a neighbor to the left and I feel like there's some kind of decking and it's either a grayish or blue, light blue. And I see the kitten under there, and it's tucked between the house and the corner of this decking. And it's under some leaves. It's like tucked in there because it's cold, and it's meowing because it's hungry and it's cold. And I didn't know she stayed on my live. Like, the way lives work, I can see that people sign in. I never see when people sign out. I continue to go on with other questions and people. So maybe it was like 10, 15 minutes later, she said, I found the cat. And it was at my neighbor's house under their ramp. They had a ramp. And she said it was under there. And it was exactly where you said. And I was like, I guess it wasn't exactly where I said. But listen, I was so grateful that she found the kitten. I was so glad that I could help in some way of finding that poor little kitten. So what a great gift to have to help people in that way. So definitely practice your remote viewing. When we did medium circles a couple of times of group calls that I set up with people that I love, and we wanted to practice with our abilities, and remote viewing was one of our practices that day. And we took a piece of paper and folded it up and put it somewhere in our house. And then as the person who was practicing had to picture what was on that paper, where it was in location and things like that. So it was really interesting. I think I got it all wrong that day. I told you it's been a challenge with remote viewing. I really have to separate and keep my soul here because my soul wants to astral travel there so quickly. So there's an episode that I've recorded. I can't remember which one it's in because it's not titled it, but I talk about how I was trying to remote view. I guess I didn't really plan on it. I didn't really say I'm going to remote view, but I wanted to see if we had aliens here on this earth and if they were like hiding in caves and what that looked like. So I was in a meditation and I went into this cave. And I remember walking into it and it was dark and physically my body was lying on my bed, but I'm picturing walking down and I can see and like almost feel and sense. So it's all the senses are activated when I'm walking into this cave, and this blue light was coming deeper, deeper inside the cave. And as I got lower and lower into the cave, there was like this humming, like almost tangible feel of the atmosphere changing. And almost audible too, where it was just like this, like where it affected your sense of hearing and then also your sense of like feeling. And I walked deeper and deeper into this cave, and then I saw these beings that were definitely extraterrestrial beings, and they were small, maybe like 4.5 feet high, at very small frames, and like almost translucent skin. Their skin was like almost see-through. And I don't know if they were wearing a very tight suit to their frame, but big heads, big dark eyes, no white in the eye whatsoever. And there was one a little bit closer to me. And then I was on the opposite wall of the cave. And then there was multiple down doing something together. I don't know what they were doing. I couldn't really see. I wasn't close enough to them. And the one that was closest to me made eye contact with me and said, "What are you doing here?" So I bolted out of there ASAP. And I was like, uh-oh, I'm not supposed to be here, kind of thing. That really freaked me out. So I realized that I wasn't remote viewing at all. I was astral projecting, meaning that they could see my chemical makeup, my vibrational being of my soul that does astral travel. Like I guess it's maybe some kind of light, or I don't know what it looks like to them. I know what it looks like on the astral plane. All bodies look like human bodies. We take human form. But we are just this light and glowing and walking around. It's kind of like these light bodies that just move around that you can't decipher one from the other. But then if you get up close to them, you can see almost their facial features and and you just get a sense of knowing who they are. And of course, this alien communicated with me telepathically, just like anywhere on the astral plane and anywhere with aliens, all telepathically. In heaven, that's how you communicate. It's telepathically. With aliens, that's how you communicate telepathically. It's always telepathic. My mouth never opens. It's always communication understood through telepathy. How can I help you to remote view? So what I want to do is just give you some practice tools. So if you are just home by yourself, you can do it totally. It's helpful if you have somebody else to do something for you where you ask them, okay, I did practice with my loved ones that we took a piece of paper or an object and they put it somewhere or hide it, quote unquote, in their house. And you take a moment, maybe all you need is like 15 minutes. I tend to like to have a pen and paper with me in case I need to write anything down. I ground my energy, take a few deep breaths, and what I do is just focus in on the intention of what I'm looking for. So I have to really concentrate and think of, okay, is this an object? Is it a piece of paper? And get a sense of what you feel and just go with it. And you're going to get it wrong a few times. But if you're right off the bat, like you get a gift. Definitely jump into that and use that because it is a very useful tool that we have naturally within all of us. So I hope you go out and play and have fun. And as always, guys, I'm so grateful for all my listeners. If you are a listener of the show and you've been listening for a while, I do have below, you can click the link below to help support my business and doing all these podcasts. I have a Patreon set up. So just as little as $1 a month, you can sign on for my Patreon to help and have me keep posting the podcast. If you like the content, guys, let me know any episodes that you'd like me to air. What do you like? Do you like the stuff that's more spooky? Do you like knowing how to more tap it into your own gifts? What do you want to hear? I'm happy to get them in the comments below. Check out my YouTube, definitely, if you haven't done that. Spiritual Connections by Joelle. And as always, I want to send you love and light.